Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Breathing Space podcast. I'm Liz. I'm a breathwork facilitator, a teacher, a writer, so many things. It's hard to put on labels. Let's just stick with fellow human being. Here to hold space and to help others connect with themselves, as that's the journey that I've been on, reconnecting with myself, my body, and letting go of all the critical thoughts and judgments that are ubiquitous. I used to not even see them for what they were, that critical voice in the head, letting go of that. So with that in mind, today's podcast is the first of the new format on the Breathing Space Substack newsletter, which is tied to this podcast. If you didn't know, you can check it out. I'll put a link down below, where each month we're investigating a theme, and the culmination of that theme is in the podcast episode. The idea being that as we take a month, we actually give proper time and space to really investigate a theme. That's not to say that there will be completion necessarily at the end of the month. Maybe it'll take you less time. Maybe it'll take you more time. This month's theme actually was meeting yourself where you are, and in full disclosure, I've been working through that theme for several months now. That's part of the reason why I chose it as the first one in this new format, because I want to just let go of the need to be an expert and instead open up a space for us to explore, discover, try new things, and just ask questions, make mistakes, and learn from them. It's a space of exploration with loving curiosity, questioning, and sometimes coming face to face with hard, uncomfortable truths as well. It all gets to be here. That's why the slogan, I guess, of my business is Space for All of You. This is a space for us to be with all parts of ourselves, myself included, because I was often putting myself in the role of the expert, and then, which is partially my own way of feeling, it's almost a protective mechanism when showing up online. If I show up as the expert, I'm beyond reproach. There's also the idea that I was working with business coaches who said, build authority so people trust you by showing up as the expert online. I'm letting go of that. I'm meeting myself where I am, which is as this imperfect human being, to go on the theme of this month. And I encourage you to do the same thing. We can take ourselves so seriously. I definitely take myself seriously most of the time. I'm trying to lean into that fun and joy and play. I don't want this intro to be too long, and I think it is still very relevant that we give ourselves space. We have a space where we can just show up where we are. Because sometimes we don't even give ourselves that. The voice in the back of the mind that's saying, you can do more, you can do better, that's not good enough, why do you do this, why did you say that, like just criticizing, remembering all these different things. And this is really in line with this first monthly theme. You'll notice, again, if you weren't on the Substack or you're not aware, the first part of the month is the first week. I post journal prompts in a playlist because, hey, I love music. It really moves energy for me. If I dance, if I breathe to it, if I just listen to it and be fully present with the lyrics, sometimes, music can really capture a feeling. And so I put the playlist with the idea that you can contribute to it. It's a collaborative playlist, adding songs that you think match the theme, and then others can discover them for themselves. And you listen to the music as you look at the different questions. These are designed to just get you thinking. It's a living document, I guess you could think. If you want to type it up, I would really recommend handwriting. You just have so much more of a connection, more of a presence of mind when you're handwriting. For me, seeing the words on the page, I'm more likely to remember it, draws more things out. And even if you don't write it down, if you do a voice note, or if you just think about these, have them at the back of your mind as we go through the month. So I'll leave a link to the journaling prompts. They're available to you there, where we investigate and start thinking about this theme and how it is in our life, and then revisiting those journaling prompts throughout the month. So I'll revisit them during this podcast episode as well and discuss how it kind of shows up for me. The next week, there's a practice. So this month was a breathing practice, so you can go check that out on the Substack as well. The following week is where we have space to share. It's a community share. I shared my experience with this theme, how it shows up in practice, some of the beliefs that surfaced when I was investigating this theme, and really leaving comments there. Please leave comments on your experience so far so that in future podcast episodes I can anonymously, if you'd like, you can email me, you can leave a comment or share resources that I can then link to in this podcast as well. So that's a little bit about the shift in the formatting from now on, because it culminates in this podcast episode, and I'll just have all the links in the description box too. And I really started the format this way, starting with journal prompts to get you thinking, so that I'm not imposing any of my experience, or at least I'm actively trying not to impose any of my experience on you. It's about you starting off with where you are, with what that theme brings up in your life, and then we kind of bring the community in, bring more resources in. That's why the next week is a practice, so you can explore deeper. We start sharing with others because we learn with others, and then the podcast here. And then at the end of the month, I don't know if you caught this, another thing that I'm doing is I'm having Heard, which is a listening circle. It's donation based, pay what you can, can be $0, can be $100 if you want to support me or allow other people who are not financially able. The amount is completely up to you. It's really about now sharing in community through the power of storytelling with others. So this is why everything has shifted in the breathing space world, in my company, Space Breathwork, because the name of my company, Space Breathwork, it's all about having space. And so how could I bring that to others, whether they're paid members of the community, or if you're a free member of the community, or you're just someone who's passing through and wondering like what is going on here. That's kind of the intention behind it, which is, I know I said my tagline was space for all of you. It could also be an intentional approach to personal development, and that's future weeks. I'm writing articles about that, about kind of criticizing personal development, how I think it should shift, having fallen into the trap of the self-growth personal development community, spending tens of thousands of dollars. I will touch on that another time. But yes, meeting yourself where you are, today's or this week's theme and the podcast theme. Even before getting on to the podcast today, I really had to lean into this theme, even though it's the end of the month. And that showed up in I was not feeling well. I was feeling like a bleh in my body, but I still had this compulsion that no, I have to go and record the podcast today. Why? I don't know. It's not set to be released for several days, but I had to do it today. And I don't know where that came from, or I had to go write an article or read the thing, or I had to do was going through my head, and yet I had this splitting headache because I was dehydrated. I hadn't slept well the day before. I was having like a sleep hangover. I actually slept very well last night, but you know when sometimes you didn't sleep well the day or two before, and it kind of carries over the next day. At least that's how it shows up for me. And I was like, I don't really feel like doing this. And I was putting pressure on myself to do it. And here I am recording it. I took a pause. So I was like, okay, I have a headache. I'm going to drink some water. So I drank a lot of water, which I used to tell my students to do when I was teaching. And they'd like take like a little sip of water. And they'd be like, it's not working. I'm like, no, you need to drink like half a liter of water And I put on some really fun music. Again, I feel music is very powerful. It speaks to me. And I was dancing around. I took a shower. And now I'm feeling so much better. Back in my body, more present, more alive. And now here I am, able to do the thing. And that's one of the main lessons that I really took away from this month about meeting myself where I am, is we often have the judgment, whether that's, I should be doing this, I need to do that, why didn't I do this yet, like shitting all over yourself, basically. And then we get into a block, or pushing and forcing and overriding our body, and it feels really terrible. Our work suffers often as a result of it. I don't know if you've noticed this. Maybe you think back to your university days where you have a deadline at midnight for an essay, and so you're like pushing yourself through all-nighters, or you have an exam and you're pushing yourself to study, to cram, and then you don't do as well. The piece you produce was not as good. Maybe that was just me. In any case, you can probably see how that may show up if you're your own business owner, if you're at work, where you don't take the sick day, you go into work and it's just a terrible day. However that's showing up in your life. Like maybe you can think of an example right now, and if you do, go to the Substack and share it with us. I'll leave a link down below to where you can comment on this podcast, because I want to hear it. And I think that it's really relatable to many people to have these specific examples, like me with my sleep hangover headache this morning. I think it helps us to really see how small some of the ways that this shows up in our life are, how like insipid, how we can become unaware of what's driving our behavior. And so I noticed this today, and often we push through, right? So we're not connected to our body. Some of us don't have an awareness at all of what's going on in our body. So you're like, I haven't experienced this maybe on a conscious level. And some of us have that awareness, and we're only aware of the thoughts though, because it'll come out as a judgment. The way that this usually works in terms of awareness of things, we're often most aware of our thoughts. We live up in our head. And so you might have the judgments and the critical thoughts, not realizing that that can be traced back to a sensation in your body. So like for me this morning, I was like, no, I need to do the podcast. Come on, you said you were going to do this. You've been putting it off. I have all these judgments, these thoughts in my head. And then I took a step back and I'm like, well, actually, I have a splitting headache. I feel like I'm hungover from the lack of sleep, even though I did sleep 10 hours last night or something, maybe longer than that. So it was getting back into the body sensations. I'm lacking energy. So I did the water, I did the dancing, I took the shower, totally shifted my energy. We often try to shift the thought when really we need to shift what's going on behind the thought. Taking our awareness back into the body, back into just observing. Like observing the headache, the lack of energy, the dehydration. The body communicates through sensations to us. And so meeting ourselves where we are is about, all right, I see the thoughts, I observe the thoughts, what's behind it? How can I meet myself there? Even if you're not yet at the stage where you can notice the sensations in your body, you're noticing the thoughts, and you're like, what if this wasn't true? What if there was another way of approaching this that didn't leave me criticizing and pushing myself? What if there was a happy middle ground? That's one of the things that I've realized as well while looking at this, is I have all these expectations of myself. You can call them standards, but really they're more like expectations, judgments masquerading as standards. I don't know if any of you have experienced that. It's like, I have to clean my house a certain way. I have a standard for how clean my house needs to be. When really, it's just an expectation of yourself, a judgment of like, people are going to see your house. You're going to be a dirty person if you don't clean everything. Like, what's underneath? What's driving the behavior? What's underneath the thought? What's the belief that's there? So meeting myself in the middle, where I am, was about uncovering those things, questioning those things, criticizing those things, not criticizing in like a judgmental way, but being like the critic of my critical thoughts of, is that true? Is that really going to happen if I don't make my bed immediately in the morning? If I don't, fold my laundry as soon as the timer goes off on the dryer? Does that really mean anything about me? What if I'm actually tired and that's why I'm not doing it? And so investigating these things and just then finding another way to do it, to meet myself in the middle. And so that would be things like I just said, my body was feeling tired, had a headache, dehydrated. I went and met those needs. And then, now here I am doing the thing. Or I don't want to fold laundry because I'm feeling very physically exhausted. That's usually what was happening. I was procrastinating because, I don't like it. But that doesn't mean I'm lazy. It also means I'm feeling overwhelmed in my life right now. And the laundry is usually one of the things that I'm just like, I just can't. Like, it's like one more thing that I have to do and I already have 15,000 things on my plate. And it's like, I've reached the breaking point. That's what the laundry was actually representing underneath that, was like a deep, bone-tired exhaustion, borderline depression, and complete overwhelm with the state of my life. Okay, so I'm not a lazy, useless person. I'm just experiencing things. And so maybe there's another way. This is, again, you might hear me repeating myself over and over again, but this was the theme of the month and it kept coming up for me. So I didn't fold the laundry. I did wash the laundry so I had enough clean underwear because I really would be. I don't want to be the person that's wearing dirty underwear. Like, I'm just not doing that, and I am not wearing no underwear. So, that is a standard. Clean underwear is a standard. It's not a judgment. Well, there is maybe a judgment there of like, hey, it's a little nasty to be wearing underwear multiple days in a row and you're going to have a yeast infection or something bad is going to happen. Like, that's actually would happen. Maybe you're like, Liz, it wouldn't happen. I do not, this is the stand, I am putting the line in the sand here of I'm having clean underwear. Anyway, that was a sidetrack. But you see what I'm saying here. If like, I do want clean laundry. Does it have to be folded? Does it have to be put away in the drawers? No. I want to put this podcast out. Does it have to be done right now? Can we tend to our needs? Yes. So that's what I did. And then the magical part of this, that I've experienced at least, was when I let up that pressure and I gave myself the space to like do things a different way, to just be, I actually started accomplishing more. This was not meant to be a productivity hack. I'm not saying underneath all of this, meeting yourself where you are, you're going to increase your productivity 10 times, 10x it, or whatever the heck you see on social media. But this was the life-changing thing for me. I was uncovering these judgments and these beliefs that sometimes weren't even my own. I inherited them from someone else, usually a family member, or online, the influence of social media. I was comparing myself to people on there. And instead, I was coming back to myself, back to my needs, and actually finding ways to meet them. And when our needs are met, I have a podcast episode on the human needs that I can link. When our needs are met, we're able to move forward. Because underneath this is an unmet need, whether it's exhaustion, whether it's overwhelm, like it's some sort of feeling probably, and a feeling is connected to a sensation in the body. When I meet that need, then it's like, whew, it's like taking a deep breath. Okay, I can do this. And then I was able to do it. So as soon as I was like, okay, I don't have to fold the laundry. I'll just take it upstairs in the basket, or I'll ask my partner to help me take the basket upstairs. He can carry that load for me, physically and metaphorically. Then I found myself being like, okay, the laundry's sitting there. I'm getting like kind of sick of having to fish underwear or whatever I want to wear for the day out of the laundry basket. then I felt more inclined to actually go and fold the laundry. Crazy. Or like having the shower, moving my body, felt like doing the podcast. It's like when you have your needs met, you show up as a different person. When our needs are not met, that's when we start having the criticisms, the judgments, the pushing, the forcing, not behaving like ourselves. So this is the power behind meeting yourself where you are. Underneath that idea is an acknowledgement of your needs in this moment. And when we're able to acknowledge our needs, we're able to find a different way. We create space, we give ourselves maybe some creativity to meet their needs in a different way, because we can get stuck in a rut. We can get stuck doing things a certain way over and over again, familiarity, habits. This is where we get stuck in a habit, stuck in a routine, and you're like, ugh, it like kind of meets my needs, but not fully. That's a possibility too. When we have that, well, now we're starting to shift just in little ways. Just don't fold the laundry or don't force yourself to write. Go find something else to do. Or, I don't know, however it's showing up for you. Like I had a client who was doing breath work, and afterwards she's like, I didn't realize how tired I am. And so she moved her bedtime back. Like just simple shifts, simple things. And that really starts to shift things. We have a tendency to think and to see on social media in particular, the extremes are what's going to really move the needle. But really, what I've learned through my whole personal development journey and learning about somatics and breath work and needs and all these things is that it's the small actions over time, the small sustainable actions over time that really start to become transformative, because they're actually meeting yourself where you are. They're actually possible. They're doable on a regular basis. And when you do things on a regular basis, you start having success. Not only do you start to, feel proud and accomplishment, you start to build trust. You start to get that confidence that you can do more. Take, for example, May is a big transformative month for me. I don't even know that. But last May actually, I decided my body was telling me it needed to move more. I was feeling kind of lethargic and stuck. And so I created a playlist called May We Move. And I just added songs to it that always got me to move my body. Like it was just fun, like spontaneous dance always occurs when these songs come on. I started building that. I started dancing, putting on one of those songs every day and dancing to it. That's it. That was my movement. That moved into me walking. I have a dog, so that became easier for me. But through walking, and then I got a little checklist, like an actual physical calendar, and I would check things off when I would walk. And then now I'm swimming on an almost daily basis, weekdays. I don't go on the weekend because it's busier and there's children and I want to avoid that scene. But I will go and I'll swim 45 minutes to an hour easy, sometimes a little bit longer. And so this has taken me a year. Now I move my body pretty much daily through dance, walking, swimming, sometimes all of the above. And that took a year, but it was doable. It was small baby steps. And they added up over time rather than, my usual approach or my past approach and what we see online, it's like New Year's resolution, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to go to the gym every day, and you do that for like a week. It's just human nature. We don't need to judge ourselves for it. We just need to recognize that as a trend, meet ourselves where we are. What can I do right now? And it might be just the smallest thing, and you might be like, that's silly. Do it. Because you're working towards something larger, which is a deeper sense of trust, a sense of accomplishment, confidence, meeting your needs sustainably in a way that works for you, not for someone else, but for you. And you get to have this creative thinking that comes along with it too, of looking at things with a different perspective, different set of eyes, and with a different set of goals in mind. So I would love to hear how this concept of meeting yourself where you are What does that mean for you? How is that showing up in your life? And maybe one practical way that you've seen this in your life so far. So join me in the comments on the Substack, the Breathing Space Substack, where the podcasts can be found, and let me know, or send me an email, spacebreathwork@gmail.com. I'm really truly interested because it's so different for everyone. That's why I'm not trying to say like this is a one size fits all approach. You might have like zero difficulty with the laundry. I know I keep using that as an example, but for me it really hit home. You're like, I enjoy doing laundry. I get a sense of accomplishment from it. Great. Is there some other way that you are showing up maybe with judgment in your life right now? And like, there could be a different way of doing things. Just having that in mind. This isn't something you have to fix immediately. It's just holding this intention at the back of your mind and seeing if that creates space for something different in your life. So let me know. I would love to hear from you. And if you do want to breathe into this, if you want to create space, have space held for you, if you're like, I don't really know, join me for some live breath work Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. We got breath work every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. barring, if I go on holiday or something. But generally speaking, Tuesdays, 7 p.m., I'd love to see you there. You can find all the information on spacebreathwork.com/open space. Open space is open to everyone to come breathe. And of course, I've got my app with all the practices for you to help create space, whether you want to shift your state. It's there for you, and one-to-one sessions as well. I'll leave all the links down below. You can discover on your own. But meet yourself where you are with whatever's going on in your life. Hold that intention. See how it shows up. See if it shifts anything in your life. And again, maybe it does nothing at all, and we try something else. I'll be talking about that in further months ahead. Next month, you might be interested. We're going to be examining our relationship to social media. I've got a post coming up called I'm Addicted to Instagram. If that resonates with you, keep your eyes peeled, because I think a lot of us could benefit from looking into this. And of course, continue with this meeting yourself where you are theme if it's working for you. It doesn't end just because this month is over. All right, sending you lots of love, a reminder to go gently, and I'll see you later.